Good Friday afternoon, everybody out there in the YouTube community. Ken McAuliffe here, the jazz vinyl lover. And I'm back today to issue a challenge to myself, where tonight I will pull out 5 rabbits out of this rack behind me. No, I will pull out 5 records, just pull one out, and see if I can talk about it with any level of intelligence. Because I have a lot of records I barely listen to. I bought them for specific reasons and never listened to them. So this will be an interesting test to see if I have any clue of what I'm talking about. So let's just pull behind here and pull one out. This is a record, Swing Goes Dixie, Roy Eldridge and his Central Plaza Dixielanders, an early Verve. This is interesting. I've only ever seen this once. The Verve Down Home series. Sort of like Prestige had Moodsville and Swingville. I guess Verve had Down Home, playing Dixieland. I haven't listened to this record. This is one of the records I bought upstate New York when I spent a week in Hudson, New York, and I went to Catskill and Troy and Albany and all these little small towns, and they all had great record stores. I was sort of flummoxed. I couldn't believe it. But this is one that I bought. It was in the back of an antique store. Hudson, New York is lined with antique stores. A very long main street. It was probably a very wealthy town. Now it's full of wealthy folks who've made a lot of money in New York City, I guess, and they've gone upstate, and I don't blame them. But so I actually haven't heard this record, but a really cool cover with the great trumpeter Roy Eldridge, so it should be fun. Let's pull another one out. See, now I could pull out up here. I know these are all blue notes, so I'm going to avoid those. And I don't even have them alphabetized anymore because I made the silly mistake of alphabetizing everything by label, which is not silly, it just doesn't work for me because I did that and then I couldn't find records. Here we have Eddie Lockjaw Davis Cookbook Volume 2. The Eddie Lockjaw Davis records on Prestige are some of my favorite records of all time, and apparently they were bestsellers because they would issue the same records with different covers sometimes. This is the classic group of tenor man Eddie Lockjaw Davis, who came up with Count Basie, with Shirley Scott on organ, Jerome Richardson, George DeVivier bass, and Arthur Edgehill drums. This is an original fireworks pressing, as we call it. Deep groove, Rudy Van Gelder. You can see it right there. And I believe this has an RVG. This is in good condition. Well, it's in excellent condition, really. Bergenfeld, New Jersey. If you see an Eddie Lockjaw Davis album and you haven't heard Eddie Lockjaw Davis, just buy the record. This is the epitome of hard swinging, fast tempos, slow tempos, organ trios, R&B. It's R&B, but there's a great record on Delmark called it's called Hooters and Bar Walkers. There was a tradition in the 40s coming out of the big bands back in the day when there were blues bars and organ bars in every little neighborhood, especially in the Northeast, where guys would blow saxophone. They get up on the bar and walk while they're blowing, which is also kind of a rock and roll thing, I guess, and you need attention. But this is from that era, but this is jazz. He's such a wonderful player. And these are just spirited records full of soul and burning swing and emotion. And they're also just really fun records. They're sort of party records. So they're not hard to find. They can be hard to find in good condition. But all these Eddie Lockjaw Davis records on Prestige, they're kind of party records, but they're so much fun. They swing so hard, and they play a lot of tempos that nobody plays anymore. These very slow swing tempos that nobody plays. So it's really beautiful. They do the Rev, Stardust, Skillet, I Surrender Dear, the Broilers, and you kind of get an idea of where it's coming from right there. So I love these records. I have many Eddie Lockjaw Davis records. Let's pull over on the right. The great Dorothy Ashby, Harp Magic on Atlantic, full tonal range, the fantastic jazz harp of Dorothy Ashby. You know, kind of a freakish kind of thing. There's the back. And you sort of have to be in the mood for these records. They're very unusual. She does I Will Follow You, What Am I Here For, House of the Rising Sun, Invitation. You know, there's sort of standards, not, Tom Dowd recordings. And that's a whole nother ball of wax. Get into Tom Dowd, who engineered Layla and all the Ray Charles sessions, I believe, all the Aretha Franklin records. But when it comes to jazz, Tom Dowd records just don't cut it in my book. the Coltrane records on Atlantic, if you listen to them, they sound like they're recorded in a barn or something. Like if you listen to Giant Steps, the bass is so boomy, even on the reissue, even on the well done remaster. It's just, I don't think Tom Dodd is no Roy Dunan. Tom Dodd was no Rudy Van Gelder. I don't know how he was miking. He got strange sounds. Even though if you listen to Ray Charles records, man, they sound great. But anyway, these are hard to find, sort of an acquired taste. But in the light of what Alice Coltrane was doing, this is kind of pedestrian. I mean, it's really nice and everything. It's leisurely, they're fun records, but they're more unusual oddities to find them. Some of them are worth something. So we did 2, right? We did 3. Let's pull this one out. Oh! Whoa! Anything by Milt Jackson you must buy. It's kind of like Eddie Lockjaw Davis. Any record you see by Milt Jackson is a record to own. Milt Jackson never played a bad solo. He's a vibraphonist. These records on Savoy are just magic. Rudy Van Gelder records. You see the maroon Savoy label. And these are just beautiful records. I mean, look at this lineup. Hank Jones, Kenny Clarke, Wendell Marshall, the sadly ignored but brilliant Lucky Thompson, Jacksonville. They're doing Now's the Time, a little bebop in a sentimental mood indigo, Azure, Minor Conception, Soul in 3/4. You know, right up through all his CTI work, there isn't a bad Milt Jackson record, which I feel the same way about Eddie Lockjaw Davis. They were perfect, complete musicians in a way. I don't know the history of Milt Jackson. You know, he played in the MJQ that I'm not a big fan of. He's the best thing in the MJQ, and I think it's interesting that apparently there was a long-standing argument between John Lewis and Milt Jackson. Jackson wanted to swing harder. John Lewis wanted to, you know, button up his suit tighter. But anyway, anything Milt Jackson, just buy it. On CTI, there's Sunflower. That's a brilliant record. There's that great Bags and West record he did with Wes Montgomery. They're just, I can't say enough about Milt Jackson. He's perfection in jazz, perfection in vibraphones. Let's do one more. Oh, I just got this. This is one of the records I got upstate. Barney Kessel on Contemporary. The yellow label. I think actually the green label is the original label, but I'm not positive. But you can see it there. Right there. You know, there are records with Barney Kessel where he's just total cornball. I just can't take it. Even the records like Poll Winners 3 or Poll Winners 3 Rides Again with Ray Brown and Shelly Manne, those are great records, but he leans over into the corner of too much cheese, and some records you can't even listen to. But this is a great record. I was sort of shocked. I'd never actually seen it before. It's Barney Kessel, Bud Shank, Buddy Collette, Arnold Ross, Claude Williamson, Harry Babison, Red Mitchell, and Shelly Manne. So you got to be careful with Barney Kessel records because they're not all great. He's a guitar player. I think he came from the Midwest or out West and said, I'm going to make my fame, and he went to LA and just was stuck in there. I mean, he's got a style. You know, I don't put Barney Kessel anywhere near the league of a Wes Montgomery or a Kenny Burrell. He's just, even though he has a pretty adept advanced language and he has a great sound. You know, he played a larger hollow body electric, as you can see there. I don't know what that is, a Guild maybe. And he had a great sound, but he just kind of, you know, I guess he's from Kansas. Maybe he's kind of corny. But this is a great one if you can find it. And the other one, Contemporary, Poll Winners 3 or Poll Winners Rides Again. There's probably other ones, but just I feel like you have to be careful with Barney Kessel. Anyway, I just wanted to give that a shot. Not bad. Thanks for checking in. Please leave a comment. Hit the old subscribe button. Join us at Jazz Vinyl Lovers. I will get around to, if you try to join our group, I will eventually, you know, admit you. We have 600 requests at the moment. It's hard to go through all these things, and I do go through them because some people just collect groups. People have thousands of groups. They're not getting it. Anyway, thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. Bye.